So good evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you happen to be. Just an introduction from me. I wanted to say thank you so much for joining us live or watching the recording. Thank you for watching the recording too. So my name is Melissa Aveling, or Mel A. As you can see there on the bottom left or bottom right, whatever view you're on right now. And that's my Twitter handle there if you need to connect with me later. So I do not work for Edpuzzle, okay? I'm just someone that recently did the new coach course and was really curious about this new training course that they had. And then it got me inspired to be like, ooh, I should really share all these cool new updates with people, and maybe I can do that live and I can run a training session and provide some resources for people. Be aware that I am not an expert, okay, for Edpuzzle, but I'm someone that does enjoy using it and really just wants to share some best practices and some ideas. So again, welcome and thank you so much for being here with me. So just to share like what we're doing today, what's happening, what's going on, what you expect. So to start off with, okay, this is the agenda that I've been sharing out for the last few weeks or so. So we had session 1 a week ago, and right now we have session 2. So what we're doing in session 2 is we're going to do a few project checks to start off with. And because last week I did ask the attendees to submit a project, and then we'll have a bit of a discussion about some best practices, some things to keep in mind when you're creating and assigning videos for your students. Then we'll look over the analytics, because I know a lot of people want to know, okay, so after a student's done a video or if they've completed some of it, what information can I get from that? What can I see? What can I do as a follow-up? So we'll go over that. And then talk about how we actually add classes and have a Q&A at the end if anyone is around. So we're going to jump into, I have a bit of an overview here again. So basically by the end of this session, hopefully you know how to create a course, you know how to access the data, and you know how to use Edpuzzle to enhance a lesson. So we're going to check out the projects that were submitted in the last session. So I'm going to share my teacher dashboard moment. So on the left-hand side here, you'll see there's a class called Edpuzzle Basics, which is what I invited people to last week. Excuse me. So basically, you'll notice here I have like one new project or answers and that sort of thing. We'll go over all the analytics later. I just wanted to share the projects that were submitted first. So I'm going to look at this first project here. So I had all these different students here, and I had Tasha that started it, but she hasn't submitted it yet, so I can't share her video. But Cora, she did submit hers, so I can view it. Okay, so I can click here, which will view, like I see her actually what she submitted, what video she chose, and whatnot, which is pretty cool. So on here, basically what I can do as a teacher is I can play it.
It's really simple to get started with the BBC microbit. You just need a microbit, a micro USB cable, and a computer. The microbit is a piece of hardware, a tiny pocket-sized computer. To make it work, you have to tell it what to do by writing a computer program. Programs are called software.
So in here, Cora, as a first question, she has inputted an open-ended question and also given the option to answer with audio, which I think is great. Because one of the things that I introduced last week when we were doing a live is that they could have an option for audio and they could join using that, which is very cool. Okay, but students, they can decide whether they want to respond in audio or if they just want to write. Okay, so I'm just going to skip there.
The micro USB cable is used to transfer the program onto the microbit. Let's have a look at it.
So I like here how Cora's also added in a multiple choice question. So I could go, okay, I think maybe I could use a micro USB and submit and see what happens there. Oh, look at that. I was correct. How amazing. But yeah, I could have maybe clicked Bluetooth accidentally and would have told me wrong. Maybe there was feedback. I'd have to go and check myself.
On one side of the microbit, you will see
And as the teacher right now, because I'm looking at the student project, I can just skip to the other questions and see what sort of things that Cora has added. So she added here another open-ended question about best place to start coding. No audio option for this one, so maybe she was preferring people to write.
the latest.
And let's look at the last one here. So last one here, she also has another open-ended question about, what are some exciting new features. So I think this is great, like as an overall submission, because I did put here for everyone saying what elements this project should have. So you should have some questions, some multiple choice and open-ended, and some notes. And I said they could modify a YouTube video, which is what Cora has done in this case. She just chosen a YouTube video and Gordon added some questions. And I said to keep it short and simple, which is great because her video was only about 2 minutes long. And I said it needs to be less than 5 minutes and to enjoy yourself, So basically it's like the thing that she was missing is notes. So I could, put a comment in here. I could say, okay, let's go to the comment here. And I could add a comment to say, great work, Cora. Would encourage you to also see where you might want to add a note, maybe as the intro with like instructions or the outro. Anyway, so I can comment and then she can see that on her work herself. And I can add as many comments as I like. So that's just an example of one of the projects that were submitted. We also had another submission from Karen. We're not going to look at that in that much detail because I just want to show you in general what was submitted. I'll just show you. For her, she had a nice short clip. It was about 1 minute. And she had, I think, a couple of open-ended questions in there. So I might tell her, okay, so think of some possibilities of when multiple choice might be useful or when notes might be useful and how to put audio in and those sorts of things. But yeah, I'm really grateful for those that did submit their work last week. So we do have some data to look at. So the next thing what we're going to look at is how to add some data, like how to analyze basically, how to see, what is going on and whatnot. Okay, so I know a lot of people are curious about this. So I go back to here. I'm going to go to the main page of Edpuzzle now. This is my teacher dashboard. Remember, if you've been part of my class, okay, you might be logged in as a student right now. So when you click your avatar on the top right, if you have all these options here, like check school plans, invite teachers, all this sort of stuff, you're in the teacher account. But if you do not, you're a student, okay? So you need to log out and then re-log in as a student. And I did show how to do that last week, so you can go and look at that video if you need it. So right now I have options to add content here. I can go to add to my classes, all of these sorts of things, okay? So I know for a lot of you will be like, okay, so how do I add a class actually? Do I need to do it manually? Can I import from Google, all the things? I'm just gonna show some basics here. So basically when I go to the plus sign and you have an option to connect your LMS, okay? So whether you're with Classroom or Canvas or Schoology or whatever, you can see so many different options here and you can sync it, okay, with those classes if you like. Or, like for example, for this session and this training session, I created a class by scratch, I guess, because I didn't have people's details, okay, and I wanted to invite them with like a class code, but also to see some analytics. So I just created on create new class. So once I'd done that, basically you have to enter like the class name, a description, select the grade level. Okay, and like for me, I said higher education or college because you guys are not students. Well, you are students, but you're not teenagers. And then the subject, I think I said general education, but you can select whatever it is for your subject, right? And then you have an option for classic or open. So classic is basically you'll see the best analytics as possible, whereas open you don't see so much because basically, the students, they just have to enter a class code. They don't need an account. So, and you can select this option to say, let Edpuzzle generate students' nicknames. So if you don't want them to have like their actual name there. Or if you don't want them to join using inappropriate names too, you can generate student nicknames if you like. But that's the idea of creating a new class. So hopefully that was clear for you. And I'll check in the chat to see if anyone has commented. Not at this stage. Just feel free, guys. Like if you do have any questions that you do want to ask, please let me know. Okay, and I can help you out if you need it. Okay, so do not worry. If you're like, oh no, I have a question now, I have a question later, or whatnot, don't worry. Okay. All right. So that's about how to create a new class. So number one, yes, you can just sync your LMS and it'll generate and add all your students for you. You can sync your roster like many other platforms. Okay. So I'm going to get out of this for a moment. The other thing is adding your content. Okay, so for me, I already have a lot of content that I have created myself previously, or I might have adapted from YouTube. You can see here I have lots of different options. I did show briefly, I think in the last session, about how to add a video and how to trim, how to edit, all those sorts of things. So I'm not going to go over that in general. I'm just going to select a video I have here and show what it looks like to assign it to a class and what sort of options you have. So if I select this video, again, if you have nothing in your content, it doesn't matter. I did cover this in the last session. You can just search for anything you like in the top. You can use a YouTube or just search in general on Edpuzzle. Okay, then you can assign from there. If I'm assigning from my own content already, I just need to click this checkbox here. And at the bottom, I have assign, edit, assign video, move to folder, duplicate, unselect, delete. Okay, so I can say I want to assign this. And you can see a few different options here. So I have various classes here that I can assign to whoever I want. Okay, and I think I showed this in the last session, but you do have that option to not have to assign it to every student if you don't want to. It's like, for example, if I click on tech training class, maybe not that one, maybe Edpuzzle basics. Yeah, here we go. This tech training class, I have one in there. So in Edpuzzle basics, you have this option. It says assign all or assign manually. So if I want everyone to do this one video and complete this task, I would just stick with assign all. But maybe, differentiation, maybe there was some kids that were absent. I just want to assign them this Edpuzzle. So I might go assign manually and I just want Irene and Mel A to do it. Okay, for example. So you have those options if you want to. So don't feel like if you assign a video, it has to go to all your students. Okay. On the right-hand side here, you have when you want to start it. So if you want to start today, like right now, or you can schedule it for any date later and at another time. So it won't be open until later. The students won't see it until later. If you're syncing it to Classroom or Schoology or whatnot, basically they'll see it in their stream when you decide. Okay, so it doesn't have to be in there immediately. And your end date, you can decide to have a due date or no due date. If you want to keep it open, that is up to you. And this is new, okay, the attempts. So previously students could only try the Edpuzzle once and they couldn't go back, basically. But now it says that's not available for mobile, but on other devices it is. You can choose how many attempts the students can have for your assignment, which is amazing. So you can go from 1 to 5 or unlimited attempts. Okay, so be aware that that is an option if you would like that. I would say always to check this one on to say prevent skipping. You also have this option down here. It's grayed out at the moment because this is not a Google Classroom thing, but you do have the option to post on Google Classroom, so it'll like actually post for you as an assignment or in the feed or whatnot. Students will get a notification. Okay. You also do have an option here to add a new class. So if it's like your first thing you're assigning, you're new to Edpuzzle, you don't have any classes yet, and from here you're like, oh, I found this really cool video, I want to assign it, and you're like, oh, I don't have a class yet. From here you can also add new class. Okay, and it'll come up with that same menu that I demonstrated before. Okay, so you have a couple of options, either add a class beforehand or add a class while you're assigning the assignment. Okay, yeah. Okay, so that's basically how you assign an assignment and the different options that you have here, which I think is pretty awesome. Okay, so good. Get out of there. Now, if you want to check, like just say you've assigned something, I go to my Edpuzzle basics class here. Sorry, let me just see if there's anyone commenting. Okay, no one is commenting yet, so everyone is alive and amazing. Okay, so inside here, okay, if I do click on, for example, Edpuzzle practice video, which is what we did live in the last session, I can from here decide to go live. So if you want to do it live with your students, like with everyone, let's just say you're in person, you're introducing Edpuzzle or whatever, you can from here access the live mode. Okay. And you do have this option when you have already assigned a video. So I've already assigned this. Okay, I just clicked on the assignment to see what's going on. I can turn on the CCs, okay, the closed captions by default, so the students will see them when they open up the video. Okay, that is the general idea of assigning and what you can see there. So the next part that I would be showing, okay, is the analytics. Now, a lot of you are like, okay, what goes on here? You know, how can I see the grade book? What can I actually see what the students have done? So I am going to show that now. So basically, I've just clicked on this class, Edpuzzle Basics, right? And I've assigned all these different things. Once I've clicked on one of them, as you would have seen before, so if I clicked on Edpuzzle practice video, this is from last week, whoever joined the live, I can see here what has been, like how much has been watched. There's a percentage here of how much of the video has been watched. So some students have watched the whole video, some just watched a little, whatnot, okay? I can see how many attempts they've made, when they last watched it, and if they've turned it in or not. It's basically at the end, like when the students finish watching the video, there'll be a button that pops up to say submit. To some students from last time, they did click on submit and some did not. We were doing it live, so most people probably didn't click submit. So that's the first thing that you see. So after you clicked on the video, you can immediately see a summary of how long students have spent, or not how long, sorry, how much of the video the students have watched, their grade, their attempts. Then I can go to the question summary, and that can basically tell me, okay, so for each of the questions, how many people are getting things right so far? So for the first question, 5 out of 7 were correct, 4 out of 7 were correct, 4 out of 7 were correct here. And this is something that I could share with the students and project, and we can discuss about, okay, so why would someone have thought that the pigeon have found a cat or a toy? Maybe they would have interpreted a hot dog as a toy. It's quite possible. Okay, we might have that sort of discussion. Not sharing names or whatever, but just in general, you know, something you might want to share with the students. Then, if I go back, we also have at the top here the gradebook. Okay, so gradebook gives you an awesome summary of basically all things. So you'll notice here, this is my Edpuzzle Basics. So I have a few different assignments that I've put here. Some of them have been graded and some of them have not been. You'll notice the ones that are with like the little dots, where are we? Over here. So it says to be graded. When you see the dot, it means that the students finished it, okay? But maybe there's some questions that I need to grade, okay? And I can tell how much time they've spent overall. This is not just for like one video, it's for all the videos that they've done from whichever dates that you want to specify from here. So I said from May until now, how much time have they spent on like watching or pausing or whatnot, okay? So I can see here that Mel A, she spent 6 minutes and she's submitted a couple of videos, but I haven't graded them yet. I need to check it out. I can see that Jessica, she spent 39 seconds, and this was like the live that we did the other day, and it's 100 out of 100 at the moment. And we have Alex, Karen, and Melissa, and you know, if I've graded them already, you'll see an 100 here. Okay, and the dot means that's something that I need to grade. So this is a really good overview, basically, to show, okay, what do I see so far? Who needs to work on what? All those sorts of things. Okay. If I need to grade something, I can just click on there to see, okay, what do I need to grade right now? What can I do here? Okay, so the open-ended questions are not automatically graded. So you need to go in and grade it yourself and decide, okay, what score should the student get? And you can also write a comment if you want to give some feedback. Usually in the question, like last week I mentioned, you can put automatic feedback there. But if there's something specific you want to mention to the student, you can also add an extra comment there for them. Okay. But yeah, and you have this option here. You say you can make the student retry so they can go and actually try to do it again. I think that is new too. I don't think that was there before. And you can reset their progress if you want. But this is going into like a specific student and a specific task. So you can see there's like many different views of the analytics and sort of information you can see. But you can see like whether they've started something or they haven't. And I think that's really useful because a lot of students are like, yeah, I watched it. And then when you look at it, they haven't spent any time or they haven't even opened it, you know? So I think it's useful to be able to see something like that. So like, for example, if I do go to the training video, like what I mentioned before, no, not the training video, another one, the Edpuzzle practice video, I think, yeah. So I can see here, for example, Cora, who was live here last time, but she couldn't join it live. So it says that she's never actually watched the video. Okay, so I know that she was there in the live, but she couldn't access during that time on her phone. Whereas the others, they have actually accessed it before, and I can see when they watched it and the last time they watched it. Because a lot of students, they take time, like to go through a video, like to get enough information, to pause, to come back. Maybe they'll spend like 2 minutes and then they'll go and do something and come back. So you know that when they've been last checking video. Okay, so I think that's quite useful. Let's see if anyone else is asking anything. No one is asking anything, which is fine. Hopefully I actually am live. And people are not, you know, like, oh my goodness, what's going on? Okay, so those are the parts with the analytics, okay, that I needed to show to you. Hopefully that gave you a good idea about what sort of data you can get when you are accessing, when you have assigned a video. Okay, and remember that, you know, once you've assigned a video, you don't have to wait, you know, until the due date to see whether they have tried it. Okay, you can look at it like an hour after, and you'll get the live results there to see how much they've seen and how much they need to keep doing. So let me go back to the main slide deck so we can talk about in the next couple of bits and pieces. So I've mentioned before about the live mode, okay? So in any assignment that you have assigned to a class, you do have that option just to go live, okay? And as you will notice, like as I was sharing my screen before, in the student view, they can go back and watch that video in their own time too. So if you've done it live, you know, you've got the live participation, any students that are absent or any students that do want to go over it later, they can still access it from their dashboard. So here's some ideas for live mode if you're not sure, because I don't think anyone's participating in the chat right now, so no one's saying anything. But anyway, I mean, there's options here for you. So you can think about reviewing or warm up or closing a lesson. So I like to do that. So like doing it at the start of a lesson, doing it live, getting students thinking, or doing it at the end as sort of like a recap. But obviously there are lots of other options. For student projects, for those that were here last week, you will already be quite familiar with this, okay? I like this idea of assigning a student project where students can go and create, right? I think it really shows how much they understand the topic. So they can add the questions and notes, and yeah, the two options are either if they have their own video they've recorded using another way, they can do that, or they can select from YouTube. And you'll notice here, teachers, okay, we can create authentic learning experiences, of course, and then we can feature student projects in a class library or assign them to a class. So I'm going to show you how we do that. So I share this again. So this is my main dashboard. So if I click on your first video and I have a look at Karen's, with these 3 dots here, I have an option here to save it in my content. So once I've saved it in my content, I can go and assign it as an actual assignment to the class. If I'm like, okay, this is a great video, we really want to use this, a really good review, you know, for everyone, you can go and assign it to your class. So it's amazing. I think that you can actually use student project work as an assignment, a future assignment. And remember, you don't have to select everyone in the class to give the assignment to, maybe just a handful and whatnot. But I think that I really do like that option, being able to do that. So let me come back to slides. and check the chat. So no one is saying anything, so we're still alive here, which is fine. Okay, so basically, so with the projects, you do have those options. And there's various ideas here. That's almost the end. I do have a couple of things that I do want to share from people's questions last time. So I'm going to share that now. So I'm going to go back to my main dashboard here. So I'm just going to go to the main page of Edpuzzle. Someone in the last session asked about like changing the language. So for example, at my school, many of the teachers, their first language is Spanish, and some are bilingual, some are not. So for them to use Edpuzzle, what they would do is, because maybe it's defaulting in English and they want to change the language, if I click on my avatar and then click on my name, I have this option of settings. And in settings, I have an option to change the language. Okay, and I can change, look at all these options here. A couple of these I think are new. So Spanish, I think, has been around for a while, but I think Malay is new, Portuguese, and Romanian. I'm not, that's Romanian. But yeah, you have these options now, and Edpuzzle's still, adding new things, but this year they have introduced a few more languages. So don't feel like you have to know only English. I know I'm presenting in English, but if you have some colleagues or friends, you know that they will be much more comfortable using it if they have the option for Portuguese, okay, or for Malay, or for Spanish. I mean, then still encourage them to use Edpuzzle. Don't get them to feel like they're still worried or stressed because it's only English. No, there's lots of other options there for them. Okay, let me just check the chat to see if anyone's commenting. No, everyone's still well sitting or not. I don't know. You'll notice here in the privacy, you can decide that whether you want to share your Edpuzzles with all teachers on Edpuzzle, or if you just want to do it from your students. Okay, that's up to you. The last thing I wanted to show, because some people they were asking about the update, so I mentioned the new languages, the multiple attempts when you're assigning now. They don't only just have one attempt. The other thing was the extension. So obviously, like for Edpuzzle, for me as a teacher, when I go to add content, I can add a student project. I can upload a video I already have. I can discover some video content that is already in the Edpuzzle site. Or I can record a video. So there is a Chrome extension, okay, for Edpuzzle, and they have updated this to be a bit more fancy. So hopefully I'm sharing my screen clearly. Yes, okay. So you can decide tab, desktop, or camera only, and you have some various options here to show a countdown, show the recording time. I'm just having that all open, okay? And if I click start recording, you see there's a there's a countdown there. I can also see my face. Sorry, my throat. At the bottom here, we have so many different toolbar things here. This is really cool. I noticed there's this thing called a drawing tool, and I can select the color I want, whether I want to draw an arrow, the thickness of the pen. Let's just say I draw a line here. Okay, that's an amazing line right there. Or if I want to draw an arrow. I really like the arrows here. They're so smooth. And then you can change the colors as well. You can say, okay, I want to change this color. Let's check out where it says upload new photo. Or for the language, I want to change the language. Anyway, that is, you can just imagine, as you're speaking or explaining, you're using the Chrome extension. You don't have to use another app or whatever to annotate on your screen. You can just do it as you're speaking and draw these arrows or lines if needed. And you can change the color. You have 4 different colors here. You have the green, the orange, the blue, and the white. Okay? And, of course, we do also have the erase button here. So if okay, I've got too much stuff on the screen, I just want to delete, I can just erase all. Okay? You can pause it anytime you like. Okay? Or you can stop the recording. Or if you're not happy with what you're recording, you can also just press delete. Basically, if you're happy with it, you can press the stop record button, and what will happen is that it will go into your content. So when you click on content next time, you'll see this video pop up, okay? And yeah, you can turn off the video whenever you want. You can also mute yourself whenever you want. Okay, if you don't want yourself to be heard for different parts of the video. You can also move this around like with those dots. Okay, so I mean, this is another option for recording. You know, if you don't have an app that you really like, I mean, you can literally just record using the Edpuzzle extension and will directly do it for you. Okay, so I'm going to cancel this recording. I'm going to discard it for now. Yes, I really will do it. See, they do tell you. So maybe if you accidentally press the delete button, you're like, okay, actually I don't. But yes, for me, I want to delete it. Okay. Hopefully that gives you a good overview for what we were planning on today. So I'm going to open up the slides again. Okay. So basically, I have some resources here for you if you need them. Okay. If you have any questions, just let me know. So just going back to the starting point here. So, we did a summary about the project, some good practices there. We would have had a discussion, but no one was in the live chat. But anyway, I discussed it myself. The analytics, like looking at the analytics, what can you read from there? You can get students to retry, etc. How to add your classes, whether it's from an LMS or just manually. And yeah, I mean, I don't think there's really any questions right here, but let's check in the chat. I'll do a final check. No one has commented. That's fine though. So I'm going to drop a couple of links in the chat for you. Obviously, if you want access to this slide deck and you have your phone out and you're watching the YouTube, you can just put your phone over the screen and it will direct you to the slides if needed. Okay. Otherwise, you can use the bit.ly that's there too. And yeah, and feedback, I guess I would drop it in the live chat. I mean, and whoever's watching it later, maybe you can give me feedback on this session. Is there something else that you would like to know more about? Or you're like, no, this is enough. Or if you have any questions, any ideas for me, that would be great. So I've just popped that up here so you can see that is the feedback form. Don't hesitate to contact me, whether it is via email or via another method. That is up to you. You can also use my Twitter that I popped up earlier. I can pop it up again if you need. But yeah, otherwise, thank you for joining. I mean, whether you were live and just lurking in the chat and didn't want to say anything, or if you're watching this on replay, that's fine too. Okay, but I appreciate your presence. Yeah, okay. And I've also dropped the slides link in the chat too for you guys as a resource. But again, thank you so much for joining, whether you're joining live or watching the recording. I do appreciate your participation, and feel free to share this with anyone else that might find this useful. Okay, see you next time. Bye.